I'm going to show you two designs that are very similar, but one is going to be more geared towards a beginner nail tech, and then our second nail is going to be more advanced. So our first nail, we've already applied one of our full cover tips using our tip and jewel adhesive. I've gone through and removed the shine from it, and we're going to apply one coat of our protein bond. Now we're going to do this design over the top of the nail, and we're going to use our manicure color gel polish, and the color we're using is called Sleep Under, and this is one of our jelly colors, so it's a translucent color, but I'm going to cure this first coat for 30 seconds to freeze it into place. Okay, so our first coat is cured, and I think for our design today I do want a little bit more color, so we're going to add a second coat. If you did feel like you want a third coat, you can definitely add that too, just to get a little bit more coverage. And then we'll go back in and cure this another 30 seconds. So our second coat is cured out. I think I just want one more coat of color on there. Okay, I think with our third coat, I think that's going to give me the coverage that I want. It's still going to be a translucent look, but it's going to give me a little bit more color. And we're going to go back into the light for one more cure of 30 seconds. So we're going to do just a really quick and easy glitter press. I'm going to use our glitter called Fuchsia. And I'm just going to grab a little makeup brush here. I'm going to tap the brush into the glitter and onto the nail. You want to make sure that you're going back and forth from the nail to the glitter to the nail to the glitter so that you're not touching that brush onto that tacky surface of uncured gel. Okay? Our glitter is going to stick into that uncured gel, but we don't want the brush to kind of collect that. So we're just going to kind of start to press that glitter on there, making sure that we've got good coverage. Once we have that product or that glitter kind of set into that, then I can use the brush now and just start to kind of blend that downward. And I am tapping, I'm not going back into the glitter, but I still have a little bit of glitter on my brush so that I can kind of bring that down and just fading that down onto the nail. And really kind of press that glitter down into the nail or into that tacky surface. So this way you're going to really get kind of a smooth finish on the nail. We're going to put this back into the light again, and what this is going to do now is it's actually going to cure that glitter into that tacky surface that we had. So it's going to really kind of hang on to that glitter, so when we seal this nail, it's not going to smudge or move that glitter on the nail. That glitter is now set down into that cured gel. But we are going to seal this now with our manicure top coat. And I'm going to do 2 coats of the top coat. The first one is going to just kind of seal that glitter, and you're still probably going to see a little bit of texture after we put the top coat on, but that's where our second coat of top coat is going to come in. So again, we're going to go in for just another 30-second freeze. After our second coat, then we'll cure it fully all the way for 60 seconds. We'll go ahead and apply our second coat. This one we are going to cure for that full 60-second cure. Okay, so our first nail is fully cured out at this point. We're going to use our manicure cleanser to cleanse off that tacky finish of it. And this will also take care of any of those little pieces of glitter that are still on the nail, but really make sure that you do cleanse that nail. You can come back in with our 240 file buffer combo, just coming around those edges. If there is a little bit of those little pieces of glitter kind of poking out, you can just kind of touch those up with that file or even with that buffer side. So for our first nail, we applied a full cover tip and then just did the design over that. With our second nail here, we've applied a quarter well tip, and so we're actually going to sculpt in our design into our nail and use this as more of a dimensional look. So I've already gone through and applied the tip, prepped everything. I've got 2 coats of our protein bond on that nail, so we're ready to get into our gel application. And I'm going to start with just a thin coat of our base gel. You always want to make sure that you're starting with your base because this is going to give you the best bond to that nail. So we're just going to brush on a nice thin even coat, and we're just going to blend that all the way through, all the way down the whole entire length of the nail. And this is going to go into the light for a 30-second freeze. For this design, we're going to be using some of our liquid art. So I'm going to actually put on a second coat of the base just to give the nail a little bit more of a protective layer so that when we do go to change out our design, we're going to have that extra layer of base so that we don't have to file all the way down to the natural nail. We would only file our color and our design off down to this layer of the base. So this way we're never going to cause any damage to that natural nail. This is going to freeze again for 30 seconds. Now, we're actually going to do some mixing. And we're going to start with our clear sculptor. We're going to add a good amount of this onto our mixing tile. All right, so what we're going to be mixing here is our liquid art. So liquid art is actually colored monomer, but you can use this in your hard gels. So we're going to take just a small amount of each. A little bit goes a long way. So I just basically dipped my eyedropper into the liquid. I didn't actually squeeze the top of it because I don't need much. And really, 1 drop is probably all that I'm going to need for this design. And then we're going to add a little bit of blue. So we're just going to kind of mix that all together. It's going to give us, again, that kind of jelly look. And when you're mixing the liquid art, you really want to make sure that you're just kind of spreading that together, really combining all of that color until you don't see kind of those streaks in there anymore. You want to make sure that all of that liquid art is getting mixed in there. You can kind of see right through here, it's a little bit streaky. You can see kind of some of those swirls in there. So you want to make sure, again, that you're really getting that color mixed in really, really well. So you're going to take half, and we're going to set this off to the side. With this one, we're going to start off with that same fuchsia. We're going to add a little bit of that to our mixture. So we're going to add in one more color to just kind of bump it up a little bit, add a little bit more sparkle. And this one is Diamond Dust. So just adding that in. Now, could you add these glitters into just a clear gel? Yes, but I feel like when you add them into your liquid art mix, this is going to give you a little bit more depth into that glitter. So it's not just sitting on the surface like our first nail. This is actually going to be down into the nail. Okay, so now I'm really seeing that depth of our glitter down in there. All that beautiful glitter in there, we'll bring that all back together. So we're going to start by taking that glitter mixture and we're going to apply that to the whole nail. So I'm going to take a nice scoop of that. And I'm going to start with that right up by my cuticle area and just start to kind of work that up around the cuticle. We're not trying to build structure just yet at this point. We're just going to add this to our nail to give that color and that sheer look. All right, so we've got that jelly look on there. We'll go ahead and get this into the light to cure for a 30-second freeze. Now we're going to do our blend. So again, just like we did our first nail, but this time we're going to do this in the gel. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of that glitter mixture, scoop that up. We're going to set that again right down at the cuticle area. We're still not trying to build up a lot of thickness. We're just trying to get that glitter on. But again, by building this into the nail, you're going to see a lot more depth to this design rather than with our beginner design. You're going to see a little bit more of that color on the surface. With this one, you're going to see more of that deep down into the nail. So I'm just going to start to kind of blend out that glitter mix. Clean off some of that from my brush so that way I can just kind of pull little bits of that glitter all the way down. So this one we're going to freeze back into place. So we can see you still got that ombre, that glitter kind of fade out, but again, a little bit deeper down into the nail. Now, we could just leave this and build up the structure of the nail, but I'm going to add one more fun little element to our advanced design, and that is Mylar. So with our Mylar, just going to take a little bit out of the jar and just kind of sprinkle that onto my table towel. That way I can kind of pick and choose the pieces that I want to use. And I'm going to go back to our base gel and we're going to take another thin coat of the base and just going to kind of brush that over wherever I want that gel or wherever I want that Mylar. So just enough to give us kind of a sticky layer for our Mylar to adhere into. And then I'm just going to use my brush to kind of touch that Mylar to pick those up, setting that down into that wet gel. And the color that I'm using is Raspberry Icy. So we're just going to kind of add that right through just kind of that center area, however much you want to add in. If you want a lot of Mylar, you can add a lot. If you just want a little bit, it's totally up to you to create the design that you're looking for. And I think we're good there. So we're going to freeze this back into place one more time for 30 seconds. So at this point, we want to make sure that we're encapsulating all of this and building up the structure to our nail. So this one, we're going to be using our Build Pink. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of that Build Pink up by our cuticle and then start to just kind of feather that down the length of the nail. And once we get our Build Pink on here, you're going to really start to see the depth of the glitter and the depth of the Mylar down in that nail. And it's going to give a little bit of a different reflection versus our beginner design where we just have that color on the surface. So you really see a big difference in the depth and dimension of the nail when you're building and encapsulating them. So I'm just going to kind of touch up my edges here, making sure I've got product everywhere I need it, letting that product kind of flow down the length of the nail, and then we'll get this into the light for a full 60-second cure. Okay, so our nail is fully cured out. Let's go ahead and cleanse with our swipe. So I'm going to file this nail out and then I'll show you guys both of our designs finished up. All right, so I've filed out our second nail. So now you guys can really see that we do have a similar look in both of these designs, but for our beginner design, it's a lot easier. There's not as many steps. You're not actually building a full nail. But then with our more advanced, if you do have the sculpting and building skills already, you can definitely do a beautiful dimensional design like this. So let us know in the comments, are you more of a beginner? Are you more advanced? Or which is your favorite design?